But one that we I guess we'll have to monitor as well is this new ENCE team. Now, I'm not going to lie to everybody. I didn't pay a lot of attention when this came out. I saw that they kept Alu. They kept
obviously.
Yep, they kept Doto. They kept. Who else did they keep? They
didn't keep anyone else really apart from Saw as a coach.
Yeah, Saw as the coach, and then they added in Spinks, Snappy, and who?
Yeah.
Oh shit! Okay,
That's
well
the
this
best
is
signing they got, definitely. In
yeah.
my eyes.
It's
He's been
become
pretty
a
good as
menagerie
Stroud.
of a team.
What?
I mean, it's become a bit of a. It's all over the place. They've added in all these different nationalities.
Hear the word, so...
Menagerie.
Okay.
Sorry.
I'm SPUNJ. I read books. I will be cool and influence all of these listeners that are 80% not native English speakers.
Sorry, guys. Yeah.
Maybe they learn something. It's always good.
Maybe how not to use the English language. So looking at this one, what's your initial take of this one, Twist? Because I look at this and I go, it looks like a fucking mess.
I actually think. Fuck, I didn't even hear who you just said was on the roster, to be honest.
Alu, Dodo, Snappy, Diha, Spinks.
I've played with Spinks and Dodo in FPL games before.
Yeah.
And they seem like really good like teammates, and they play pretty well. I've seen like Dodo like streaming. He was like watching demos on stream and stuff. So clearly he's like educating himself. And I think the idea of them going international was a good one for them. And yeah, I think it. I mean, I hope it works out for them.
It's crazy to think where this team was, like when you look back at with Alexi B and everything, and just how wrong every decision since then has gone to the point that they've had to do this with the roster. It's like they've moved away from Finnish Counter-Strike a bit here, Striker, do you think?
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty fucking obvious considering they got 3 non-Finns into the roster, right?
I mean, it probably tells an obvious storyline, right?
Scorched earth in the Finnish scene, huh?
Well, considering there's only one Finnish player left, it can only lead to one thing.
Yeah, it's crazy that it's crazy that after all the stuff that came out, right, from all of the teammates around Alu, that they still kept Alu. Like, I'm not it sounds.
I mean, they kind of defended him at that. They made like a whole fucking statement around it. Like, you should see it. It was like 7 pages. Like, this is public, by the way. This is not something that I just got on the side. They actually released like a 7-page document with maybe like 4 pictures or something that kind of filled the space. But like every single part of the decision was like explained by the management and stuff like that. It was pretty kind of cool because we don't really see this very often in like announcements. It was so hard to sift through it like with half an hour advance on the actual news to try to like portray it in the actual post. It was kind of interesting. Like they like acknowledged the fact that Alu made some mistakes and like he wasn't a great teammate like to some of those teammates, but that like he was by far not the only person responsible for like a lot of the changes that happened at the team. Like a lot of the kind of like very reasonable stuff that I would even believe. I don't think the Alu thing is as black and white as maybe like the teammates want to portray it. I'm sure there were mistakes on both parts being made, didn't really work out from both sides. So I don't really mind them keeping Alu, especially because it was pretty obvious that like Sergey just wanted to leave the team entirely, and then Sunny basically followed him in the same sense. So like you can't really keep anybody else apart from Yumpy. That's the only part that I don't like about this is that they kind of I'm assuming that they hoped that Yumpy was going to figure out his backband issues, and that didn't happen. And so they just went back on that deal, saying, okay, well, if you can't figure it out, well, then see ya.
Yeah.
That was very optimistic, though.
Yeah.
For sure.
Maybe
they just thought like the lawsuit was going to work out, right? Maybe like that was the thinking there. Obviously, so far we haven't really heard anything to say that it is going to work out. So I guess that's the main reason.
Yeah, I think that failed after they sued the wrong Valve department.
That was the first report about it. Yeah, I don't know I haven't really followed too much about it, but it just didn't work out apparently.
Now, this article, I'm getting the mic close here, boys, so everyone at home, make sure they hear this. Valve was valued at $10 billion as of March 14, 2019. If anyone thought that Yumpy was going to go into a legal battle with Valve and be even remotely successful, what the fuck were you smoking? Like,
imagine the level of like attorneys they have just like hired nonstop. Probably better than some Finnish attorney you can afford with your CS:GO player salary.
I couldn't believe, like, I was reading this stuff, and when I heard like things were going well, I was like, are they really? Are they actually going well? Oh, is this another honey dicking situation going on here? And it was. But but now the rumors is what Yampi maybe goes to Valorant. This is the thing, right? If you're VAC banned, you may I don't want you to leave, but if you want to play at the highest level, maybe you have to leave. Like maybe you just have to go. Maybe there's no other way around it.
It's just always going to lead to the same thing, right? If you don't really solve it, then it's just always going to lead to you, maybe getting a chance on one of the teams, but then they realize, okay, but when we get good, we actually want to play at the majors. Sorry, guy, you have to go. And this is gonna happen perpetually. We saw it with Steel, we saw it with like all of these guys who basically can play at majors, right? So, and it's gonna keep happening. So I feel like that's kind of like the only out, unless you want to be like the Steel, bringing up people all the time and not really getting to play at all the biggest events, getting cut the second that they realize they actually can do something at the majors and stuff. So it's just, it's inescapable.
So I really wish they took a different approach, because knowing that there's like these agencies out there, like Prodigy Agency and the ESIC Association, I feel like Yampi and ENCE could have took a better route where they collaborate with one of those agencies to get in touch with Valve to work on something instead of publicly suing the company. So
I feel like that's probably what they tried at first, though. I imagine they just didn't get them anywhere.
I don't know. I
hard to say. I don't know.
For some reason, I just don't believe it, because there has to be a way to get in contact with Valve. I mean, ESIC's a big association. I mean, they're controlling a lot of things right now in terms of punishments, and the fact that it went right to a lawsuit it blows my mind. I feel like they could have figured it out.
Yeah. To be fair, ESIC is also, at least Ian Smith, like the leader of ESIC, is the commissioner, is even against like the idea of permanent banning people, right? So
yeah.
I'm not sure that there was a way for there to be an impact through like one of these parties.
There is like one example of a guy being unbanned on a high level, Robin, right? Now playing in Endpoint, and he was banned for like 2 or 3 years.
I think
and
more even. I think it was like 5.
He got banned back early days.
It was like 2013, 2012, 2013 or something that he got banned, and then
it was after 2013 because he played against me in the DreamHack Open major qualifier, the first one.
Yeah. Okay. But yeah, he was banned for a long time, and he got through after someone else who got banned for the same thing, which is essentially like something for a different game that was unrelated to CS:GO that he had installed that got him back banned. And someone else found out like a way to prove that to Valve, so he sent the same thing essentially and got unbanned. So they are not like completely just a wall. They do respond, but you have to give them information that they really need. Otherwise, they might just ignore you because they're getting 1,000 mails per day, probably. My dog cheated and stuff like that. So
yeah,
you have to be reasonable.
Let's do this. Do we think, get your thumbs back out, boys, your yays or your nays. Do we think this version of ENCE will be better than the last version of ENCE before they all decided they hated each other and turned it into an episode of the Real Housewives of Finland?
Before they replaced Lexi V?
No, after the one that had Yampi, Ariel, fucking the guys recently. Better or worse? We've unanimously gone with better. I think
it's hard to get worse. That's the problem.
Exactly.
That's exactly it. They set the bar very low that they should be able to go right over it.
I'm out of all of these people, I feel for fucking Snappy. There's just an in-game leader right now who's getting thrown around like a band-aid. It's like, fuck, we need a fucking in-game leader. Is Snappy available? It's just getting fucking thrown, like the poor guy's just getting like lobbed here, there, and everywhere. So let's hope it works out better, but let's keep this going. We got a bunch more news to talk about, and then we're getting into the finals.
To be fair, just because we didn't really touch too much on the actual additions, I feel like Diha and Spinks are actually decent additions. Like Spinks, obviously the long-term factor of that, because I think he's clearly going to improve. He's like one of the people who I think we can pretty much bank on being like relevant, next year.
Yeah.
And Diha has actually been doing pretty well. Basically, just got kicked from Sprout because they wanted to get back to a major roster for the fucking 3rd time in their history or whatever it was. So
yeah,
I feel like it's actually like decent additions. I'm not saying that they're going to be like a mega baller team or whatever, but I feel like they're actually gonna keep improving.
Yeah. All right. Well, another team that